Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. First, I'd like to point out where our fire exits are, through the door to my left, and through the door through which we all came in today. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to point out for the record that tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast on YouTube. So with that, can we have roll call attendance, please?
Member Yarborough.
Here.
Member Sprata.
Present.
Member Menard.
Here.
Acting Chairman Delaney.
Perfect.
Here, sorry. Okay. First, legal notice, please.
Please take notice that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Depew will hold a public hearing on September 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Municipal Building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York, to consider the application of Anthony F. Matuzak for the property located at 116 University Ave, Depew, New York, 14043 of Chapter 260, Subset 260-35C1A6, asking relief from zoning code to use artificial trees as a landscape buffer. Should I read the whole?
Yes.
Yes, please.
And asking relief from zoning code Chapter 228, subsection 228-5D, to maintain trees in the front yard that may adversely obstruct the view of drivers, and of Chapter 260, subset 260-31F3, asking relief from having screening over the maximum 6-foot height requirement in the rear and side yards. A pre-board meeting will begin at 6:30 in the conference room of the Municipal Chambers, Municipal Building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York. Any and all persons interested in such application will be heard at this time.
Okay, I'd like to note that we're going to be taking these one at a time. There are three sections of code, three variances, if you will, and we'll begin addressing the variance asking relief from the zoning code to use artificial trees as a landscape buffer, which is Chapter 260, subset 260-35C1A6. So please, I'd like to invite the applicant to step forward, tell us their name, and what they'd like to do.
How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Are there 6 people voting or 7?
There are 4 people voting today. We're missing
Just
an
4?
alternate. Yes, we're missing an alternate and a regular board member, but there's a quorum here, so they are permitted to vote.
If it's a tie, how does it get broken?
If it's a tie, it would not pass. Because you need a quorum.
Yeah.
So you need at least
would
3
need
to
at least
pass.
It's tough for me to hear, I'm sorry.
You'd need at least 3 yes votes for it to pass. You need a quorum for it to pass.
It says it's for a landscaping, what's it, landscaping what?
It is Chapter 260, subset 260-35C1A6, asking relief from the zoning code to use artificial trees as a landscape buffer.
Landscape buffer. This is the original form that's filled out in Carrie's handwriting, and the first thing it says is to deter harassment. That's the reason, okay? It's not landscaping buffer. All right, it's right on here.
Oh, that's the criteria.
This is your opportunity to tell us about the application. This board is limited to looking at the zoning board rules and regulations and interpreting why you're asking them to change those rules for you, which is sometimes permissible, and it's on you to give the reasoning, which is, it sounds like you're listing right now. But they are required to look at the code and what the code requires. And the code requires a variance for artificial trees, regardless of the reason. You've got to apply for that variance. So
Regardless of the reason.
No, you can give us the reason. we have to enforce the code. Does that make sense?
Well, regardless of the reason is interesting.
I think you're
Because that's the whole
mischaracterizing.
reason why we're here is because of a bunch of reasons,
I
right?
think you're mischaracterizing what I said, or misunderstanding. All this board is doing is deciding the relief. They're looking, do you get the relief or not? You give us the reason. They're going to consider the reason.
Okay.
You give it to us, okay? It's your opportunity to present. Go ahead.
Okay, the first reason would be going back, I told my neighbor 112 back in March or 22 that I'm going to be working in my yard for the next 2 years. I didn't have to do that. I thought it was pretty neighborly. 2 months later in June, that would be the son-in-law and the daughter from out of state pulled in their driveway. Immediately he got out of the car, hid behind their pine tree, and was taking pictures of my yard. I saw he didn't obviously know I was there, so I went up to him nice and I said, "Why are you taking pictures of my yard?" And his response was, "We've never seen the yard with no grass." Now, I've been in that house, took it over in 2016, so for 6 years I've been a pretty nice guy. I constantly been hearing, well, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And I just, okay, yeah. When that happened that day, that ended. Okay? I was a good person, but they decided they wanted to take pictures. From that point on, things changed in how I was going to do the yard. Okay? Because it's a big project. I had to stop water coming in because they've been dumping their grass back there for, I at least know, 4 decades. So the back of their yard, instead of going like that, now goes like that. And the water would come into my yard. So I filled my yard. My yard drains beautiful, right straight to the back, the whole lane. Now they have a pond in spring and fall when it rains, and it's their yard caused by them. And I did bring up to Don about it, that they should remove that dirt back and skim it off, and it would solve it. So they could do that if they want. So I did a lot of work. I started in 22. Mostly in 20, I did a little bit. 22 and 23, I really brought a lot of dirt in manually. Trees, when they were doing the trees, was that in 22? Remember they trimmed the trees in Depew and that? I have 2 big trees and 1 small chestnut. I trimmed that before they came in, so they wouldn't kind of massacre them. And I have one of them big maples in the back, them big ones with the 5 branches sticking out. 2 of them are hanging over my other neighbor's yard. And I took that down. I did pretty good. I trimmed that. So I had a lot of wood. And I also, since it's the abandoned railroad grade behind the house, after Stefan, 2 doors down, when the cars were getting broken into, the kids ran through his yard. So that abandoned thing has really filled a lot of dead trees. I went back there, I cut all that down, cleared up the dead stuff, and not the stuff that's living. But I cleaned out a lot. I'm not happy it hurt the deer habitat, but that helps out the security for the area. Don liked commenting me and thanking me for doing that. So I got a lot of wood from that. And Don keeps mentioning it's a wood pile. No, it's not. It's a beautiful wood stack that's elevated off the ground about 14 inches. It's great. I learned that from my camp. This way you have no varmints underneath and the wood doesn't get wet. The health department had come over due to calls, and the last time the supervisor came over and complimented, said he took pictures of my yard to show as a showcase how to do it right. He said, you won't be hearing from us again. He loved my wood stack. It's not a wood pile. It's beautiful. It's great. And actually, starting from 22 from that on, that's a list of a lot of things that have happened. That's 22 by month, 23 by month, 24. After that happened, I had instances where 112 would come on my property and just stand and stare at me and glare at me. I ignored that the person existed. Pretty much from 22 on, we ignore these people. We want nothing to do with them. Nothing. We don't talk to them. Nothing to do with them. We ignore them like they don't exist. And that was one of the things. So at that point, that's when the wood stack moved forward now. It was all now I need to stop these people from coming on my property, staring at me, glaring at me. So the whole pile, that stack was supposed to be in the back, and it moved all the way towards the front. Everything was supposed to be like, none of this would have ever happened if the person didn't hide and take pictures in my yard. None of this would exist. That's your cause of all this. We're not the aggressors here. So,
So,
there's instances like that. I could go on, see?
well, Mr. Matuzak, I want to try to help you refocus so this board can analyze your request. My understanding, and I'm just the legal counsel here, so I'm just trying to keep the order and make things move. There's artificial trees and this beautiful wood stack, as you describe it, and that is not in compliance with our village code. So we need to know from you why you should get a variance from what the village code requires. And
We have people,
is there anything else you think the board needs to know for?
sure,
where they
how about
decide?
some pictures? How about some pictures of, like as if my property's being stalked, people staring at it? You know?
Okay, go ahead and hand the pictures up, we'll take a look.
Sure.
Take a look.
Here's one when there was an open house across the street, and that's a person from 112 there. He was actually looking down my driveway like this, but when I got the camera up, he turned away, okay? That's him also. And you know usually your neighbors have patterns, how they mow the lawn and all that. This was different. This is way out in this guy's property, right there's property line he's mowing, you can't see him. But again, this is him on another day. Now he's staring between my driveway and the other neighbor in between there. This is 112. That's not in front of her drive, nor mine. That's at 120, one drive down, angle, just like that, looking between my garage and my house in my backyard. It's like we're being stalked, like my property's being stalked. That's been going on for years, folks. Then, so the trees are there as a deterrent, and especially then what occurred in, I think that was September of '23, when Don was present. And Carrie was with me, and Don was present because Don said, well, why don't you put a rope up so we could see the property line? And while they were out there, Charlotte came out of the house. I guess the word would be a bit
Oh, yeah,
aggressively. She came out a bit.
Jan needs them.
Oh, sorry. She came out a bit aggressively and started going towards Carrie and started saying stuff, I want them poles removed. And Don went like this. Don stopped, put a hand towards Charlotte and this against Carrie. That's instinct, folks. I don't care how old the person is. You do that because there's a threat. So there's a threat here now, and that is the reason these trees are up like that. They went, she was in between the trees, like as if she was gonna come between them. It's to stop it. I don't care about the age, okay? Right after this happened, and then there was a discussion with Carrie and Don, told us, you can keep your trees. That's why I got the variance, because we were told we can keep the trees. That is a quote.
Can we have these and add them to the record?
Yes. So, because otherwise I would have never went and got a survey. I'm not moving out. I'm not going to spend that money. I did it because we were told we can keep the trees. So, the trees are excellent. Pardon?
You're referring to the artificial Christmas trees?
Yes. Yes. They look great. Actually, no one knew they were artificial. Actually, at your meeting right before, one of you was kind of questioning, are them there? And we had neighbors think they're real. They look nice. So that's why I got the survey, because we were told we could keep the trees. Okay?
Is it possible that Don said that if a variance is granted, you would then be able to keep the trees?
Actually, I believe Katie said, I don't think you'll have a problem getting a variance.
I would have to say that I did not say that.
Well, how did you rephrase it then? You can correct the phrasing.
You can definitely apply for a variance for just about anything. I never said anything
Can Carrie
about.
comment on it? She's the witness.
I am not allowed
I
to
think
say
I
if you
can.
can or cannot.
I think
Okay.
to avoid a he said, she said situation.
Okay.
I can just ask you a few questions. Do you have any of these statements that you've referenced in writing or
No,
recorded?
no video, no writing.
What about the health department and their reports?
I'm sure we could get Eric to,
Yeah.
buy something.
I did speak with the health department. They did get a good report from the health department.
Okay,
That is a
fantastic.
fact. I may have an email regarding it. I'm not sure, but I definitely spoke with him on the phone.
And the other thing that concerned me was this reference of a threat. Was any police report made or anything like that? In response to the threat?
Yeah, we've got police report. We got a bunch of police reports, and there was one on that too.
Okay, do you have anything, we're here now, this is the hearing. Do you have anything with you that the board can consider?
No, but if we don't get the variance, then we'll appeal it and we'll bring it then, since now we know. Okay.
They also film, the police also film.
It will ask for the body
There
cams.
was a grand display in front of there where she kept coming.
Hang on. We have to, you are welcome to come up, give us your name and address for the record and make a statement. But we're with Mr. Matuzak right now, so, and I think there's probably people in the audience who want to be heard as well. Mr. Matuzak, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, yeah, we could keep you here for an hour and a half. I listened to all your notes in there, your lines you were saying. Sounds like you already made up your decision. When Don said I wouldn't understand why you need it, I think I don't know, we talked about it plenty enough. Someone said about fire. Could you explain how are these trees supposed to catch fire?
In the event of any type of fire, if these trees were to catch on fire, it would be a life safety issue, period.
So that would be just like any house or garage or any shed?
Plastic emits more toxic smoke than regular smoke. It causes an environmental problem, a health concern for the community.
If it starts on fire?
Correct.
Is it just going to ignite, or is it going to be arson?
It's
You
irrelevant
made a
at this
statement.
point.
You got to back it up with something. If you're going to say somebody's going to start it on fire and arson, someone's going to get arrested.
I didn't say someone, I said if it were ever to catch on fire for any reason, it will be an environmental issue.
Okay, so it's going to catch fire. Okay. Concerning blowing off, landing on other people's property, I think the person did say something, I don't know who it was, about it's how it's attached. Yeah, it's really attached in there. It's got 3 cable wires, it's in wood. I don't envision them going anywhere. We already had some wind, and I always keep an eye on that. Actually, I upgrade these trees often because, it's usually the weak point is where the branches are and they mount. So I know which trees to look for, and now I look for ones that are look like real trees and that. So I pay attention to that. So I don't see any safety hazards with them. And since my wood stack and that is not up against my property boundary, none of these trees are up against my boundary. Okay? They're away from it. It's not like putting up a fence where it's 1/4 of an inch or an inch or 2 inches away. They're away from it. So I keep an eye on all that. If they come up and say anything about, the yard and they put up that fence, well, if it's so bad, why didn't they put up a privacy fence? My house next door on the other side, Judy, that's a beautiful privacy fence. You can't see through it. This fence has got them 1/4-inch slats. Since they took pictures of my yard, I don't want them to see my yard. You can go right up there and look right in. You could see the yard, so it's not a privacy fence. So there must not have been a bit of a problem, because otherwise you would have put a privacy fence in. Okay, so all what I have there is to block the peeping Tom. That's what I call him, the guy, hiding behind the tree taking the pictures. It's to stop the peeping Tom. Okay? Now, things right now are peaceful, and things are really good. Everything's good the way it is. We're happy, okay? I think a lot of the issue is Charlotte's used to, if you notice, the driveways, that's another thing, the driveways aren't parallel. They're like that. Charlotte sits by her door. She don't look at her yard. She looks at my yard from the front all the way to the back. And I think part of this is she's upset that I've changed her view of my yard. So as far as the trees, I think they're excellent. We were told we could keep them.
So can I respond to a couple of the things that were made here?
Absolutely.
Do I stay up here?
The board.
You can stay up there.
The board's going to have some questions for you and Don.
So I don't ever remember saying that they could keep fake Christmas trees. I definitely would have told them they can keep them in the front yard. As far as the boundary or barrier between them, the people next door that they're having the issue with has paid and put up a fence at their own expense to actually block the yard. Now, the reason why I believe everyone is staring at the yard is for a long time, your yard was just a complete mess.
The what?
Your yard is a complete mess. You have junk everywhere. Your
Really?
garage was dilapidated. You have junk all over your yard, which you still do because another neighbor has just came forward with some pictures. You've got more junk in your backyard, and you've covered it all up with tarps. So, unregistered cars, cars that had fake plates on it, we've gone the gamut with this place.
This is being recorded, right?
Yes.
This will all be recorded?
The plates that
Okay.
were on it, that the police came, said that they were not proper plates. So there was a lot of issues, and the places just looked like a junkyard, and that's probably why a lot of people were staring. They're still under violation, which we decided not to put them in court yet because we wanted to see the outcome before we finished the court case. So that's what I...
John, if we could
Yeah, let's focus.
refocus this thing. Okay.
That's right. There's, all these variances are pretty interesting. I don't hear anything mentioned about that in there. That should be admissible. Bringing up stuff that has nothing to do with anything.
Well, there's a difference between admissibility and relevance. I don't think the plates are relevant to the application, I agree. Don, did you have anything else you wanted to add about the
But the variance at hand.
trees? The variance at hand?
I just think that's, it's a dangerous situation where they have the trees for the people backing out next door to them.
That's different. We're on the first one. We're not on the one about line of sight. That's admissible.
Okay,
Anything else on the variance that's before the board right now? He's absolutely right. We're not talking about line of
strictly
sight.
about
That's
using.
next.
Which one are we talking about, the fake trees?
Just
using
generally
artificial
the
I
artificial
apologize.
trees.
So I just think if we set the precedent that we allow artificial trees, that's, everybody would just start doing it. It's in the code for a reason, and I think we should adhere to that code.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have questions from fellow board members? Member Sprata, Member Menard?
Oh, I've got a plethora of questions.
Okay, go ahead, Member Sprata.
This wood stack that you have in the backyard, your backyard, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with it?
That's emergency wood.
For what?
In case things go bad,
What are you gonna do with the wood?
I'm going to use it to heat the house.
You have
Nope. When things go bad, you want my opinion? I don't think you people are going to be interested in this. You're going to be more interested in protecting your home and your family. Okay? Things go bad as we see what's happening. I want to be at least kind of ready. Okay?
Can we?
So the answer is it's emergency wood. We could
That's
move
right.
on.
See wood, that's a fine answer.
these artificial trees that you have on your, or close to your property line. What's your source for them? Where did you get them?
My yard and from behind.
You got
Plus, it
all
costs
those
mint.
artificial trees from your
Oh,
yard?
No, you mean the artificial trees?
Where did you get them?
Well, Craigslist, Marketplace. People, they make a mistake. See, as soon as after Christmas, they put them up for sale, but people don't buy them. And then months later, they advertise them for free. So I get mostly them from that. Otherwise, when I see them, I pick them up if they're good ones. They got to be more modern ones.
If you see them where?
Anybody throwing them out? Why should I pay for them? I'm not going to pay $299. Someone wants to pay $259 for a tree and throw it out because the light don't work, that's fine with me.
Okay, you said you had a bunch of police reports. How many is a bunch?
Jesus. Maybe over the last 2 years, 6, 8, maybe 10, 12.
So this has been going on for that long?
Yeah, actually, one of my questions would be is I'd like to know how many tens of thousands of dollars Carrie and I are going to be receiving for all the stress we've been through for the last 3 years. Because my time, instead of doing the repairs I need to do around my house, has been defending ours and my property's privacy. That's where my time and energy is going. I want to know if I'm getting reimbursed for all this.
Your garage, which is not attached to the house, it used to have siding on it, is that correct?
It also used to have a modular patio.
What do you mean by that?
At some point, house was built in 58, maybe 10 years or so, a modular patio was put in. It's actually like a 3-bay garage. It's a 2-bay for the cars. I think it might have been open at one time, or at least it was constructed like that. And then there's a modular, back then they put in these modular patio. Well, it's seen its time. It's been 60 years old, and it was starting to buckle. So I had to reinforce that. I did that in 22, that was supposed to have been done. I did not get in that until March of 24 because of all this stuff going on and the energy I have to put in. So now it's got 6 1/4 inch walls and ain't going nowhere. So lot of work I need to get done is being delayed because all this stuff right here. All the work that I've done on there to defend ourselves is time that should have been into my property. So if there's any problem, how come stuff didn't get done? Blame 112 University.
So the reason you took the siding off the garage was to reinforce the walls? Is that
Oh,
what
the
you're
windows
saying?
on the outside.
Pardon?
The windows on the outside, them were leaking. The wood was all rotted. I took the windows out, repaired all the wood. I've got the header. I need to put 2 LVLs in for the header over the door, which was supposed to have been done in 23. In 24, I got some rot around the bottom. I need to take them pieces out, replace that. So the garage should have been done in 24. It's not going to get done until, well, it depends if we have more problems at 24, 25. I worked 6 weeks in all of March and through the second week in April doing that, entombing that, the patio. Hard work. I'm not going to pay somebody $2,500. Oh, and you know what 90% of it's built out of? Debris. See, most of the stuff that he calls junk and debris, maybe I should show you. I'm a fabricator. Show you what I build out of it. I don't need to spend thousands of dollars. I can do what someone pays thousands of dollars to do. I could do for a couple $100 and weld it and braze it. I'm a jack of all trades guy.
How many hours a day did you work on that?
On that, I'd say 40 hours a week. It's not the work. A lot of it's in engineering because I'm not an engineer. I have to think it out. So there's a lot of thought process. You know, I'm not going to pull the modular out and do all that. So I entombed it. That was the smartest way.
One other question I got about your property is, I don't think this has anything to do with the variance.
Were you the gentleman? You went in my yard?
No, I was on the sidewalk, sir.
Oh, I thought maybe you went in the yard 2 months ago.
Well, you had another schedule and it got canceled for some
But that
reason.
was you, right?
Yeah, I rang your doorbell. I couldn't get to the front door because you had debris on the steps and
Yeah,
I
did you
wasn't
notice I was
gonna-
working there? Because it's sinking in, and did you notice I grinded and cut all that out so I could separate that? You call it, everything's a mess here.
I rang the doorbell on the side twice.
Yeah,
And I was gonna ring the front doorbell, but I
Right.
couldn't get up the steps because of all the debris that were on the
yeah.
steps
Me- me and
and
the project,
porch.
did you go now and see how I finished
No.
it? No. So you happened to go there when I was working, and you couldn't go over.
I went there now, when
I.
I went there now, from the sidewalk, I could see that there's no more debris on the front steps.
Yeah, you mean, I finished the project, right?
So we're on variance one
Yeah,
of
we're getting off the
three.
track here.
Okay.
I think
we're right on track.
board members are asking questions. Board
Any
member
other questions?
Stoddard, do you
So
have-
there was a structural repair done to the garage, is that what you're saying?
You know about that. Katie knows about it.
I
We were
don't-
supposed to show pictures. You wanted me to email them.
Yeah.
What's going on, Don?
I have no idea what you're even talking about right now.
Then, okay.
Alzheimer's?
I'm glad this is being filmed, folks.
I don't think you have Alzheimer's, no, I'm saying,
Just
I'm saying if there's structural repair done, you need to pull a permit is all. So I will actually come and inspect it once you pull it.
Yeah, I'm
Paul,
sure.
do you have any more
I
questions?
got one more question.
Yeah.
There's something covered in your driveway that I could see from the sidewalk. What is underneath that cover?
Under what cover?
It's like a tarp or something. It looks like an automobile, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, that
I
used to be.
want to hear from you what's underneath there.
Yeah, we have a lot of people doing it. That's why I keep it covered.
What is underneath there?
My old race car.
How long has it been covered like that?
Well, probably 15, 20 years. And since then, I really don't have the people coming up knocking on my door if they want to, if I'm selling it.
Well, if it's a race car, 15 years, isn't it a little obsolete?
Really? It's
For-
gone quite up in value. You need to recheck your values of your old cars.
I think the reason he asked is because you're not supposed to have unregistered vehicles on your.
That's pardon?
So I believe the reason he's asking is you're not allowed to have unregistered vehicles on your.
Yeah, and they also know that the vehicles are registered. because even Katie stated, yeah, the cars are legitimate.
The ones that had the South Dakota license plates were legitimate. I do not know about the one under the town.
Yeah, well, it's
With all-
legitimate.
With all respect to
Still.
Mr. Matuzak, I'm going to instruct the board to make sure the questions are specific to the variance.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
The car isn't relevant. Specific to the variance.
This is the way it's been.
Have any questions
Okay, I have no
specific
further
to the
questions at
variance?
this
Member
point.
Menard, any questions from
None from me.
Member Yarborough? Any questions, comments, concerns from code? Anything further, at least?
No.
Legal?
Why not just put up a traditional privacy fence?
Pardon?
Why not just put up a
Are you
traditional
willing to fund it?
privacy fence?
Are you willing to fund it for me? I'll tell you something. My income came from designing and selling Freedom shirts, okay? I've been profiled everything. I've lost 90% of the income. You know why? Because I'm now a racist, and I'm a homophobic, and I'm every word you can be called. And now I can't even get into events because they know how to get people like me out, an American. But I did win against Avon for fraud. Avon Rotary Festival, Corn Festival, yeah, they tried to profile me out, but I took them to small claims court and I won.
Well, no one's doing that here.
So
My-
the whole
my
point
question
is,
was-
yeah, if you want to pay for my fence,
Fence?
I appreciate it.
Okay, because it's expensive?
Can't afford it.
Okay, I understand.
Do you have anything further?
I don't have, are there any alternatives you looked into other than the plastic trees? Privacy hedges,
Well,
things that might be more cost effective?
I felt they look great. I think it's an elegant way to go about it because I'll do an alternative and we'll be here again, okay? But the trees look good. It stopped the problem, okay? Then they put up surveillance cameras pointed right at us where we sit out in front, okay? Sitting in our chairs, right at us. So then the trees are kind of like a combo bushes there. So I had to block their, that's why you have the branches up. That's to block the cameras then, because you know why? All these questions you have to do in my yard is coming from all the spying going on. And it's all to stop it.
I think, but a privacy hedge would be a lot cheaper than a privacy fence. So that's my question, have you considered that as an alternative?
I agree with you.
Real trees.
I mean, I agree with you, but,
Or real trees, fast-growing trees, I see
Well,
applications for those all the time.
if I knew it was going to come to this, maybe I would have. But now, if I don't get this and I paid $500 for a survey, I'm going to take the town to small claims court to get my money back. Because I wasn't going to get a survey. This has nothing to do with my property line. They're not permanent stuff. It's not no cement, no nothing. I did this just because I was told to do it. Okay, now I was doing alternatives. If I were to put trees in, I would put them ones that go really bushy and they're narrow and they go really strong, real high. You know what I'm saying? Like toothpicks in a row. Yeah, I would. How much are they going to cost? I'm not going to put them this high. I need them right now. How much is it going to cost to put an 8 or 10 foot tree like that in and all the work? I'm not going to do that.
All
These
right.
trees look great. They're tucked in underneath my pine tree.
So, Mr. Matuzak, we're going to open up the floor to see if anyone else wants to talk now, okay?
Yep.
Is there anyone who wants to speak in support of the project?
Yes.
Please step forward, tell us your name, and say what you will.
My name is Carrie Mae Christman. I live at 116 University. Tony and I have been together for a while now. In defense, or offense, should I say, let me refresh your memory, Don. Yes, you did say that about the trees.
I
You
disagree.
had,
but-
I can't remember. Well, maybe you're under so much stress. Stress causes memory lapses.
Don't care, please.
You
Yeah,
have
can we-
said
Your
this to me.
questions.
Can we refrain
In
from
fact-
personal attacks, please?
It's not a personal attack, because I'm a witness hearing what he had to say about the trees. You will be able to keep your trees. In fact, Kate also said, due to the events that happened on 11 September a year ago, in '23, when I came into the office, she made the comment, you need to put your variance in, and I'm sure there isn't going to be any problem for you to get it. and even Don encouraged me to put that get that variance in last year, that there would not be a problem for us to receive that due to the nature of the aggression that he witnessed and protected me against. And I can assure you, I was shaking when he put out his arm to protect me. I was shaking. And many people want to laugh because, oh, here's this 90-some-year-old woman. Well, I have disabilities, folks. I'm an Air Force veteran with many disabilities. Perhaps I should have printed out the whole list for all of you to see.
Did you have any comments in support of the project? And thank you for your service, by the way.
Well, you were worth it. A Marine taught me to say that. In support of the variance, that's also due to protect me. And also at times when I would be out front and she would have her daughter-in-law, I would have to listen to hate speech against me. Oh, she's out there now. And this way it's muffled. I don't have to hear this because there's no reason for this. Actually, she and I were friends, Charlotte. We were friends until her son came over. All this stemmed from that one incident when they decided they were going to first call code back in June 2022. So all this drama took place over the last, 2.5 years. You've got to be kidding me. It's a matter of, and then, I'm the one who often had to call the police. And especially that Saturday morning, she tried to come through the trees, and she was yelling at me.
Who is she?
Abusive. Charlotte Kolchak.
Okay.
Or I think that's
Okay,
her last name.
he,
She was hurling verbal abuse at me.
Mr.
And then
Depew-
let's fast forward to July of this last year when I had Officer Handley and Officer Jones. I called for backup because the incident that was going on, that they have the film for, that he kept trying to calm them down. They kept hurling abuse and saying all this stuff about us. She would come around the side of the garage and she would just call me all kinds of obscene names. You cannot imagine what I had to deal with. I'm not as young as I look. I assure you, I'm pushing 70. And just the names that I was being called, I was the one who called for backup because I could see that she kept getting away from him. The next thing she was going to do probably was come over to me and attack me. I was just stood there behind our rope.
do you have anything else
And that's
to
why we need the
add?
variance
Okay.
as well.
We understand the harassment component that you have raised very well. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I think it was the idea that it was very well inferred to us, remembered or not. I do remember it, because last fall we failed at not putting this variance through because it probably, as I was told, would have been put through. And I agree pretty much with what Tony said.
Okay,
And
thank you
all
very,
this started, it's a more of a drama, this variance, and et cetera, with what's going on. Because it would be a personal observance from my own educational background, what I observed for this woman who's 93 now, who has 2 daughters who now own her property, and all I've heard is they're just worried about their property value. They used their mother as an instrument to attack us. It's all been attacks for the last 2.5 years. And I personally know Adult Protective has really no teeth. I know that, especially in Erie County. But to me, in my opinion, it's elder abuse. That is what has also been going on for the last 2.5 years. And it's sad to observe this woman sitting in her chair. And by the way, I have one of those chairs too that the VA gave me. Thankfully, I don't have to really use it yet. But to see her out there and her head was hanging low, even though there was animosity going on, I'm the one who called the police to do a wellness check on her. And while I was in the house, I was away from the window, I didn't see that she had walked away. That's the right thing to do, the decent human thing to do. And as for line of sight, that hasn't,
We haven't
Yes.
touched on that yet, so.
Yes.
I'd ask you to-
but I believe in self-governance, self-responsibility. If you're backing out of your driveway or anything to do with your yard, you are the person who is responsible.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Any questions?
Thank you. Okay. I'd like to ask for public comment now from anyone who'd like to speak against this variance
Or for it.
proposal, or for it.
Anyone-
for that matter.
My name is Charlotte Coates, and I live at 112 University. I'm 92 years old. I do not like public speaking. I have a serious medical issues and get my daughter Kathleen's permission to summarize my concerns.
Good evening.
Could I show them this?
Please.
Give it to them to,
Well,
no.
that's our business.
Here.
If you wouldn't mind starting down there with Ms. Yarborough.
This is a picture of the backyard before the log wall went in and a Christmas tree.
Can we have your name and address for the record?
Kathleen Elberson, E-L-B-E-R-S-O-N, 223 McConkey Drive, M-C-C-O-N-K-E-Y, Buffalo, New York, 14223. So that was the property before everything was put in.
When his parents owned it.
There's the modular porch thing that he was referencing.
Are we allowed to see the photo?
Yes.
So I can only speak about the one issue.
Can you please email that photo to our village administrator and we'll add it to the minutes?
Okay.
Thank you. You don't have to do that right now, but.
She has to, she's
I'll have
be speaking on the first variant.
Remember that, Tony? How nice your house is?
Okay, guys, we're not going to let this digress into banter back and forth. We're speaking on the first variance, which is the request for the artificial trees to be placed where they are, to remain where they are. Not the sight line and not the screening over 6 feet, just the general artificial trees.
All right. Well, Charlotte Kolach is the owner of 112 University and has been paying village taxes for 68 years. She's never had issues with any members of the neighborhood and has never had any problems with neighbors in those 68 years. She strongly opposes approving any variance of the codes as listed. So this code is what, 2060 subset 35C 1A6?
Yes.
All right. So the primary concern is for the safety of pedestrians and vehicles using the street and sidewalk.
No, this,
No,
I
this will
think
be.
we're off track here. This is the artificial trees
Yes.
instead of regular trees.
No, this is the artificial trees.
They're all the artificial trees get too close to the side. They're all kind of intertwined, so.
There is, the only big real tree is a Christmas tree, and that was okay, because he did have it cut to like 6 feet or something above the ground. That was not the issue.
If I may, what I think they're saying is that we are right now addressing strictly the existence of the artificial trees in their current spot. We're not talking about the
trees in the front.
code that refers to the trees as adversely obstructing the view of drivers. We're not doing that one yet.
This is
We're strictly
artificial
on-
trees in general.
But that's,
So I know they're tied together, but
Yeah.
We will be moving on to the second one.
well, we don't like the artificial trees. I don't know what, I mean, when I look at those, it's because of safety issues. So I guess until we come to the safety part?
yes.
Would you like?
That's fine. We've got a couple more to go through.
Okay.
This is a tricky one.
Should I wait to the end and then speak of the whole
Well,
thing?
we got to vote on each of them separately,
Right.
but if anyone else wants to come up and speak,
Yeah. You know, he says that I pick on him. I could sit in my own driveway.
I think,
Ma'am, the-
thank you for sharing that. We're just talking about
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other comments on the first variance that's before the board right now? Okay. Oh,
Chuck Alberson. I'm the Charlotte's son-in-law, and I'm the husband of Kathleen Alberson. These plastic trees, it's against your code, first of all. This is a nice thing.
I'd like to take a look at
Of course,
this.
I know there's a couple of pictures in there that I probably could have eliminated, but it shows exactly everything that has taken place
This is great.
and how it looks if you haven't seen it, okay? This is not something that I would go ahead and say, this is attractive, or anything like that. It's a safety concern, and it's unattractive, and it's downgrading the property value.
Sir, is there any way we can have that as part of the record?
You can, absolutely.
I think we'd have to take a picture of it. And you're entitled to see this too. We'll have it over to you.
I'd like copies of it, because
You have a phone? You can take a picture
I
tonight.
I only have a flip phone.
Okay.
I do have my camera with me.
I could take a photo and email it to them.
Yeah, or take a picture with your camera.
Or
Thank you.
And that fence
There
is a
is a
stockade
couple of
fence.
pictures there that, as Tony mentioned, there was surveillance
Okay.
cameras, but that was because
Sir, if you could.
Go back to the
Sorry,
podium.
Go back to the podium and address this from there.
Okay. The reason, there's a couple of pictures in there that does show Tony, okay? But it was part of the camera that was put in just so that we can make sure that nobody took the stakes when we had the survey done. Because we had heard an awful lot of comments saying from friends and other people that somebody comes out at night and they'll take and try to move it or whatever. So we put cameras in so that I keep track to the front and the back. Now, that was the only reason that they've been in there. Now, we have since taken the front camera down, since Tony is concerned that we're spying on him. So that's done. And it was asked by him, if we go ahead and take that down, would you take something down? Nothing was done. Matter of fact, he edited it higher. So, the plastic stuff is an eyesore, it's a safety concern, and it's degrading of the property.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Does anyone further like to offer comment on this?
You'll have a chance to respond.
Pardon?
You'll have a chance to respond. Is ever anyone else?
We do.
Yeah, they can respond to the comments. You don't want to give us return. Okay. Okay. Briefly, if you have a response to the comments that were made,
should I come forward?
just one of you. It's just one response.
What about my safety? My safety needs to be concerned too.
So, what's the purpose of what we're looking at here? Why are we seeing what? What's the reason that we're doing this? Codes.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing.
Pictures need work. Yeah.
The image that they shown, I think is a good example that this is about the view that she doesn't like, because it's a picture of my yard, okay? And it's not from my parents, it's from 2020, because it's got Christmas stuff on it. I did that. So it's around 2020. Kathy said Charlotte is not the owner, or that she is the owner. No, she's not. The two daughters are. I think Katie and Don know that. That she has like the house residency thing, whatever, you can live there till you die. But they're listed, the daughters are listed as the owners. Also, she said the reason for her response here concerning this section, she don't like them. So she don't like the trees. That was her response. Okay, so she don't like them. Flip back here. Oh, I'm trying to get here, I'm sorry. I had to put something on the same page. Oh, no. I know I wrote something else on here. Chuck said something pretty interesting. Chuck. When Don came over and mentioned that they took the camera down, they said that they put the camera up to make sure Tony doesn't move the stakes. She said person, and meant me. So it wasn't a security thing. Okay. Okay. And the other thing, he said added it higher. That wasn't after the camera was removed. I added it higher, like started on it. It took me about 5 or 6 days to build all that. I added that after they put the camera up. So not after they took it down. And he's saying the plastic is an eyesore and a safety thing. Well, they're going to have to explain all their safety stuff. And as far as an eyesore, well, I guess they shouldn't have took pictures of my yard.
Okay.
All right. Any further comment?
No, I think they got the response. We've got to go to the criteria and then see if there's a vote.
Yes, sir. Okay, so, as part of the packet, requesting an area variance, there are 6 criteria sought by the state that are part of this packet. I'm going to read the questions and the answers given. Number 1, will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties be created by granting of the area variance? You wrote no. I would say perhaps not an undesirable change, but a detriment to nearby properties, I would say yes. 2, can the benefits sought by you, the applicant, be achieved by some other method other than an area variance? You wrote no. I think Mr. Alba brought up several options. There's a fence, there's shrubs, there's real trees. Those all would have been more viable options. 3rd, is the requested area variance substantial? You wrote no. I would say it's quite substantial. 4th, will the proposed area variance have an adverse effect or impact the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? You wrote no. I'd say that's a yes. 5th, is the alleged difficulty self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the requested area variance? You wrote no/yes due to we want to put the trees in the location. This one's going to be a yes. And last but not least, what is the minimum area variance deemed necessary and adequate? So with this one, it's not a question of distance, but whether or not the current predicament is compliant with code, and the answer to that is no, it is not. Okay, so with that said, I would like to request that one of my fellow board members put forth a motion to either...
Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
You gave answers to them. I'd like you to give me your explanation, how you come to those conclusions.
Sir, you're not entitled to that at this time. If you think the record was undeveloped, that's another issue you can raise if you're challenging this decision. But at this point, the board is about to vote.
So I can't find out why he made that decision
I,
or where it comes from?
He went over his criteria. If you feel that was inadequate, you could challenge the decision potentially, and encourage you to seek legal advice on that. But he has gone through the questions, gone through the criteria. If he wants to elaborate, he can, but he is not required to.
I mean, at least on a couple of them I will. I believe in number 2, I adequately elaborated on the options that were available to you other than an area variance, such as a fence, shrubs, real trees. On the substantial, if it's substantial or not, I mean, there's a large number of trees that, whereas even one tree would be non-compliant with code, and in this case, there's a number of them. So that to me makes it substantial. As far as the self-creation, number 5 is the alleged difficulty self-created. I mean, it is. You say you want to deter harassment, but you don't have to put any kind of barricade up. You're choosing to do so. So that makes it self-created. With that said, one of my fellow board members would like to put forth a motion to grant or deny this variance as presented.
I make a motion that we deny the variance as granted, as presented.
Motion to deny the variance as presented made by member Menard,
I'll second that.
seconded by member Sprata. Roll call vote, please.
Member Yarborough.
I agree.
So you vote yes?
No, I agree with
The motion was to deny, so
Instead
yes
of-
vote would be
Deny,
to
okay.
deny.
to deny.
Member Sprata.
Yes.
Member Menard.
To deny, yes.
Acting Chairman Delaney.
Yes.
4 yes, variance denied.
Okay, now, Mr. Matuzak, there are 2 more variances on. You have the right to ask the board to adjourn those if you want to come back with a different criteria. And I offer that to you because with the first one being denied, the artificial trees have to come out. And the other 2 are related to those artificial trees, the sight line and the going above the 6-foot fence requirement. So it might make sense, I don't know what you're gonna do, you have several options, but if you're going to come up with an alternative, such as a shrub or a privacy fence, it might make sense to adjourn those 2 and then come back another night. Or the board can decide those issues as presented, but I just wanted to give you that option.
I say we continue tonight.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, second legal notice, please.
So I'm basically just reading the same one all over again, right?
I
So
guess
it's only
you already
one
read all
legal
3,
notice?
didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the second variance on our list
Can I
here.
ask a question before we
Go ahead.
if we choose to challenge this, what is the process for doing that?
We can't give you legal
Yeah.
advice, you have to consult with a lawyer. We cannot give you legal advice on how to challenge the zoning board of appeals.
No, what's the
So you don't
procedure?
have a
Not
procedure?
advice, what's the procedure?
That would be legal advice.
Or
So
the village to?
there's no challenge in the village. You'd have
There's
to,
no form that's allowed?
no, it's not an administrative challenge.
Because what I'm hearing here is, what I even heard earlier, is that this is a village level. So perhaps we need to escalate this to a state level.
If you want to consult with
Since it's a state.
a lawyer or try to challenge this board's decision yourself, that is absolutely your right, but we can't tell you how to do it. Especially me, who represents the village and would likely be defending whatever you brought in.
Correct.
So we can't tell you what to do there. There are a lot of resources out there where you can figure out what to do, things online, lawyers who may meet with you for free. I don't know, but I can't tell you how to proceed against the village. That would be doing something adverse to my client. I'm ethically prohibited, and they're not attorneys who can advise you on that.
But to me, it's the same thing as when you go to court, the levels of court. This is village level.
Right.
And there's always a higher court that overturns the lower court, such as here.
Yes.
What Mr. Elvis is saying is we can't comment one way or another on anything like that.
And if we are,
That I understand, because there would be action taken.
generally, it's inappropriate to discuss this in the meeting minutes of a zoning board meeting that are going to have to be typed up and, formally circulated. It's going to take an extended amount of time for us to complete these minutes because of how extensive the discussions have been tonight. So let's move on. You absolutely have a right to have your other two variances heard. Let's have the legal notice read on the second variance, and we'll proceed.
So I just read the whole thing all over again?
The second. Did you read the second?
She read them all three at the beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry, we already did the legal notice, so let's just go to the second one.
Yeah, I was just gonna read.
Okay,
the second
go
one.
ahead, Pat.
Okay. So this is in regard to the second variance on our list, which is zoning code chapter 228, subsection 228-5D, which is to maintain trees in the front yard that may adversely obstruct the view of drivers. So that's the one we are hearing right now.
Yeah, but we'll keep it.
Okay.
Concise.
Okay, so, on this second variance, I'd like to, invite anyone to speak in favor of this that, would like to make, a statement. I would ask that, anyone speaking, either for or against this particular variance, be brief and keep their remarks relevant to the specific variance at hand.
But we understand you folks have your differences, and I'm not minimizing how concerning or important those are. I do want to emphasize what this board has the power to do, which is decide the variance and ask that all comments stay focused on the variance. And because it took us an hour to get through the last one, I am going to be interrupting this time to refocus anyone speaking off topic.
The phrase adversely obstruct, who wrote that?
This is your chance to present.
I know that.
Not
but-
ask.
See, I'm disagreeing with the terminology. It's definitely, the wording is not in my favor.
This is the village code that you're referring to.
Okay.
So that was how the code was written. It doesn't apply to you specifically,
Okay.
it's just that is the code that this variance is under, it's under that heading, if you will.
But there's a lot of,
The issue at hand falls under that subsection of the code is all.
so the issue is, like, if you're pulling out of the driveway, you can't see, right?
That is what the contention is of that subsection.
I drove through Depew about 90% of it, so I got 66 instances. So I guess how come, if, they seem to be like, and that doesn't count all the homes and buildings in Old Depew where the houses are actually like only 4 to 5 feet away from the sidewalk. So I'd like to know, if we're gonna do this, I'd like to, you know what? Sorry, should have brought something. Since we're talking about accidents, I guess, something could happen. I think it'd be right if I am, that you supply me with the statistics of how many accidents have occurred in Depew coming out of the driveways due to line of sight. And I think we can't go any further with this until you provide me that.
Well, you have the ability to FOIL request anything.
Pardon?
You have the ability to FOIL request anything. You would put in a request for that through,
But you're the one that's saying it's adversely obstructing.
Mr.
So you have to back that up.
Mr. Matuzak, respectfully, we are here to decide your variance. You hold the burden of proving to this
Might as well
board
just vote
why
no,
you
and I understand.
should.
Well, there's
why you
66
should get it.
instances. I don't believe there is any obstruction. Their driveways aren't parallel. They're like this, which gives it more view, contrary when you're pre-meeting where you said it's worse. No, there's more of view when it's like this. When it's like this, your view is less. There's a lot of view. The trees are how far away from the driveway. So I don't agree with it. And since you want to move this along, I'm going to honor it for you, okay?
You are absolutely able to say anything else you think is relevant to the variance. You are not permitted to ask the board questions or ask for statistics. We're here to hear from you and hear your information and support. And you're welcome to join us up here again if you have any additional information in support of the variance.
Okay.
Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this particular variance? Does the board have any questions for Mr. Matuzak at this time?
None for me.
Member Sprott?
Are you going to ask if the public has any?
He's gonna get there.
But I'd like Mr. Matuzak just to respond to any questions you might have.
Okay, not right now.
Member Euro? Okay, any questions, comments, concerns from code on this one?
Well, I could speak up and say, just for an example, there's a picture that we have, I don't know, did you bring it with you?
Of a car actually, in a sense, turning into their driveway at 112. And it's a matter of the line of vision that you can see. It's very obvious their driveway is at a different angle than all the rest. It is possible to see down the street. And for that matter, I lost it.
Are you talking about towards Walden Avenue? It's at the angle?
Even looking either way. And I will bring up that it is self-governing, self-responsibility, not to barrel your car down the driveway without looking, because that has been seen too, as it has been used. Well, I've heard this from neighbors and people saying this about them. Well, that's what I've heard in return, that either driver from that house gets in their car, has gotten in their car, and barreled down the driveway without looking. It's been noticed and noted. In fact, I've seen it too. They just drop back up into the road without even looking.
Okay,
So that has to be in consideration too.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yes, because there are children that could be hit. And from what I understand, I don't believe that Charlotte actually has her license any longer. So thankfully, she won't be barreling out the driveway. But
Okay, thank you.
that has been seen.
Okay, thank you.
We were asked to provide statistics on accidents, but I'd like to point out that it's not just accidents that have occurred or that have been caused, but the potential for them as well. That must be taken into account with a part of the code like this. And that's not something that really can be quantified, I don't think. So where was I? Code, did you have any further comment on this? Question, concern?
A lot of times when people call in complaints that they can't see back down the driveway is when we investigate, and in this particular case, that's what they explained to me, that's why we have discussed this at this point.
And we have had trees, hedges, and other things removed for this exact reason in the village.
Legal, any questions, comments, concerns?
Nothing for me. I do want to just make clear, Mr. Matuzak, you have the opportunity to add anything else that you think is relevant to the variance. My goal wasn't to cut you short, it was to keep everyone focused on the variance before the board. So if you have anything else to say, we welcome it.
The trees are there to stop Pipe and Tom. He had to stop a possible physical threat. Your votes mean that doesn't matter. By denying means, well, we don't care about that. Don had to go like that. An instinct maneuver. You voted to deny. That's the problem. This is about harassment and security. You're denying that.
Do we have any public comment, concern against or in favor?
So this particular variance is, come on up. This particular variance is about the sight line with the trees in the front of the house.
Okay, so the artificial Christmas trees, which are over 6 feet in height, have been installed along the side of the house, from the front of the house to almost the sidewalk. It's a danger to anyone, for oncoming vehicles or children on bicycles. With the little ones, they're on those little tight bikes, and they're not easy to see. I myself back in when we go to my mom's house or my own house. I always back in because it's easier to see if the kids are there. During the winter, with all the snow we get, and it's going to go even more on those trees, it's going to be worse to see anything. And I'm concerned that something would happen, and then my mom gets sued, but then they're gonna go after the town too, because in code, you can't have bushes or trees that height. You have to be able to see through. So I would say not.
Any further public comment on this one?
The area in the front from the trees, the plastic trees that go from pretty much to the backyard of his house all the way to the front are over the height that they should be. There is only one little spot out front that you can see through a little bit, but then he puts a flag out there, which he's a patriot, and so am I, so I understand that, but the flag also then takes that little bit of eyesight away from that one area. But it goes all the way to 3 feet or a little bit more than that to the sidewalk, and it's very difficult, if not impossible, to see anything that's coming or on the sidewalk coming along, especially if it's the little ones. Now, statistic-wise, yeah, maybe it would take a lot to get that number of how many accidents have happened, but I can state one. Back when my daughter was walking her dog with my wife on a sidewalk in an area that was close to the road, should never have anything happen. All of a sudden, here comes a motorcyclist, slams into her, killing her and another lady. Now, you shouldn't have to worry about walking, but accidents happen, and then guess what? You get sued, and that's what's going to happen. People are going to get sued regardless who it is. They're going to come after you. So to have this just there with the possibility of anything happening is ludicrous to even let it go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can
Anyone?
I bring something up?
Let's finish, let all the comments continue.
My name's Peggy Newlove. I'm actually here representing my sister who lives at 108 University. She asked me to write this down and present it for her, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm a neighbor of 116 University. Unfortunately, I'm very ill and right now have been hospitalized. I'm still in the hospital now, unable to attend tonight's meeting. I am not in favor of issuing any relief for zoning issues at 116 University. It is dangerous the way it is for both drivers and pedestrians using that sidewalk. Those trees block sight lines, making it a danger to this entire neighborhood. Everyone that lives and walks and drives in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sit down. She's harassing me.
Um,
Please tell her to sit down.
Please stop. We could all be adults here.
Do not address one another, please.
Hi, Judy Matuzak, 103 University, no relation to the applicant. I have a concern about this because we do have a lot of kids on the street. The kids ride their bicycles. They're constantly up and down. They're out there all the time. I have a dog. I know she's always barking at them. And kids, you don't know what they're going to do. Kids are kids. I used to have big bushes next to the side of my house. My neighbors didn't want to trim them. Luckily I called the village and they said, well, legally you can trim anything that's on your overgrown. So I did do that, but it was scary because there were little kids down the street that have now grown up, but they used to come. There was a little boy who used to ride really fast down the street. You never knew when he was going to come. I was so worried, going home after work to go out because you're like, I also back up into my driveway for that reason. Luckily, those bushes are gone now, but it is really a safety concern, and I really worry about the kids. Thank you.
Let that be a chance for rebuttal.
Yeah, as Chuck said, there's only that little opening, because you know Christmas trees go like that, right? So there'd be openings on all of them. Yeah, they were like that. I had all the trees, they were nice and beautiful, but after they put the cameras up, then I filled them in. Okay? So, that's just to let you know that I'm reacting to everything that they're really winning. They're going to win all this because I'm reacting, and it is, I guess, that way it is, isn't it? So they'll win everything.
All right, so with that, I'd like to, again, go over the 6 criteria for an area variance in New York, specifically with regard to this variance, which again is Chapter 228, subsection 228.5D. And again, that is to maintain trees in the front yard that may adversely obstruct the view of drivers. Number 1, will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties be created by granting of the area variance? You wrote no, and I would say that's a yes. Can the benefits sought by you, the applicant, be achieved by some other method other than an area variance? You wrote no, and I'd say that's true. Third, is the requested area variance substantial? You wrote no. I would say, again, yes, substantial. Fourth, will the proposed area variance have an adverse effect or impact the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district? You wrote no. I would say that's true. Fifth, is the alleged difficulty self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the requested area variance? You wrote yes, and that's true. Last but not least, was the minimum area variance deemed necessary and adequate? You wrote maintain trees in front yard setback approximately 25 feet of relief. What is it for this one?
It's 25 foot is the minimum.
Is the
Oh,
minimum
okay,
setback.
very good. All right. So with that all said, I'd like to ask my fellow board members to either put forth a motion to grant or to deny this variance as presented.
I'll make a motion to deny the variance as presented.
Member Yarborough makes a motion to deny. Second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Member Minerva. Roll call vote, please.
Member Yarborough.
I'm denying it.
A yes vote?
Yes.
Member Sprata.
Yes, denial.
Member Menard.
Yes.
Acting Chairman Delaney.
Yes.
4 yes, 0 no, variance denied.
Okay. And the last one is here. Chapter 260, subsection 260-31F3, which is asking relief from having screening over the maximum 6-foot height requirement in the rear and side yards. So if you'd like to come forward on this one?
And again, Mr. Matuzak, you do have an opportunity to ask the board to adjourn the hearing on this matter and come back with an alternative proposal if you want, or you can go forward. It's entirely up to you.
There is really no alternative proposal. I think I did was very elegant. Okay. So we're talking my branches are called screening,
Yes.
and they're there because, again, I had people taking pictures, putting up a camera, which it's all, they face right in my yard. There's the one in the back faces my yard. So, yep, I reacted to that, okay? I did a good job. When you do deny it, and the camera's still up there, I'm gonna have to do something. I just can't let that camera watch me in my yard, okay? Like I said, they sits there, she sees my whole yard, now the cameras they're pointed at my yard, okay? So when you deny it, I'm going to have to still react and do something. I can't have the
I'm going to
cameras
ask you folks to wait.
looking at me, okay? So,
Did you have anything you wanted to say in support of the variance? You're
No,
making the record.
because I believe you're going to deny it, you know. I figured it out when we was in the preemptive meeting already. By the way, you discussed it. You already made your decisions earlier.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Matuzek?
None from me.
Code? Legal?
Just note, there's nothing added to the record for this particular variance on why the 6-foot limit on any structure should be exceeded, and that was what we asked
The
for.
whole reason is
You know, we want you to be able to make your case.
because I'm just being redundant. I'm saying the same thing for each thing, and it doesn't matter.
It does matter to develop your record.
You know, a guy comes and hides behind the tree and takes pictures of my yard. It doesn't do nothing. It doesn't tell you anything. I called Peeping Tom. All this is to deter that and use, it's the zone, okay? So I'm repeating myself. I'm just repeating myself.
But may I ask, why does that call for the trees to be higher than 6 feet?
Because to block the camera. If the camera was 2 feet lower, I wouldn't have to put it up. Now, what would happen if the camera was 2 feet higher? I'd have to come up with something else. I'm a welder, I got steel, I'll weld something and I'll go 2 feet higher. I'm just reacting to what they're doing, okay? That's it. If the camera stays up there and you deny us and I take that down, I'm gonna build something else. We'll be back here again, call the police on me, whatever. I'm not gonna let the camera look at me pointed in my yard. That's what happened in the front.
Tony, there is no
Okay,
camera there.
Please don't address the applicant. Thank you.
All right.
I got the picture.
Yeah.
It's on the back of the garage. They took the one down in the front of the house. Okay.
Folks, please don't address the applicant. Thank you.
That was the one in the front, and that's the one that's still there. So I guess my example is that if the camera was 4 feet higher, I'd build something 16 feet. If I have to gusset 15 feet in my yard, spend 4 months, I'm gonna weld it together and do it with all my junk and debris.
So you do understand that's line of sight, which is just vision. They could sit in their upstairs window and look down at your yard.
That's right.
It's not illegal. It's not illegal to have a camera there. The police have already
That's
explained
right.
there's nothing in our code that says it's illegal.
That's right. It is.
It's illegal?
No, it's legal.
I just wanted to point that out.
Well, you don't I know all about it.
We are getting a little off topic. Can we keep these for the record?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that you can see is pointed right at us in the front, and you see it's got the opening. I had to close that.
Mr. Matuzak, do you have anything else you want the board to consider? Thank you.
You've heard.
Yeah, and I, man,
Please.
Of course.
and also these cameras,
They also can listen. They can listen to everything you're saying. Here we are in our front yard, in front of our own window. Yes, the trees are there, but the camera can hear everything. That camera is pointed right at us, even though we've been assured, oh, no, it isn't, but yes, it is. And I will reiterate, this started from day one. I believe it might even have been June 22nd. It was a Thursday when her son-in-law came over to the tree, being a peeping Tom, into our backyard when Tony came over to him. And the reason that was very upsetting, actually, of concern to me, is because only 2 weeks earlier, a man had pulled up to the curb, and I saw him coming to do that just in time. The little girls down the street, I told them, I saw him stop. I said, you girls get home, because it looked like he was going to try to kidnap them. And I asked him, can I help you? And he said, oh, where's the flag store? No, he was interested in these little girls, because basically that was the same scenario that it reminded me of, him peeping Tom between our branches. They had just pulled up in their vehicle from the Carolinas. He got out of the car
I think
and went
we're
to look at
getting-
the backyard.
we're on
These
the
variances
extra-
are necessary, because my concern is, what about my safety?
Okay.
You have never considered my safety. And even her daughter opened up the door about the snow. That has been of concern the last couple of years, because it majorly blocks the vision, even when we're trying to get out of our driveway. You cannot see down the road. In fact, the village knows about this. The excuse is, oh, it's on a curve. No, because their snowplow service puts it right in front of the house. That's a line of vision. That is a line of vision. And I don't want any of them even speaking to me. I almost want to request someone escort me out to my car. I don't want to be out in the parking lot with any
The
of these
board's
people.
going to vote, but you're free to leave at any time you want.
No, I have to stay. I'm with Tony.
Okay.
And I support everything that we are presenting,
Okay, thank you.
because you haven't had to live with this.
Do you have anything else you want to add on the variance, which is adding 2 feet or more above the 6-foot
I think it is
requirement?
absolutely necessary
Okay.
for our peace of mind and our safety. Yes, who are you looking at? Who are you looking at that you're in eye contact with?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
When will you get rid of the trees?
Will you
We're-
please
we're-
stop her from addressing
We're in the
me?
middle of it.
That was why I went to the police, to stop any of this.
Okay, she asked us a question. We'll talk, there's an opportunity to talk to the code enforcement officer after. I forget where we are. Did we do public concern?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No, you haven't denied it yet.
Do you know when you'll be able to clear the...
Stop, we can't answer your questions
We're
right
not
now.
gonna
We're in the
address that
middle
right
of a
now. Right
hearing.
now, we're looking for public comment. Anybody that wants to give public comment on this is being heard right now. So please step forward if you'd like to offer public comment on this final variance regarding specifically the height adding 2 feet above the 6-foot height.
Right. Well, you've already seen the picture of the backyard from the back of his house all the way to the back, on top of the fences, or on top of the wood piles. That's way up there. Now, Tony is complaining, and Carrie, that we have cameras. The front cameras are down. I offer, in front of you folks, I will take that back camera down if you'll start taking something down back there.
I think
Okay.
you two can.
So anyways,
Figure
you're
that out
right.
later.
You're right.
We're
But I
here
just
on
wanted
the
to
variance,
offer that.
Okay?
And it's not to spy on him. I don't have any issue with the darn camera. They can come down now because the stakes were left alone. The fence, privacy fence that was spent $5,500 plus the survey, okay? Nothing was ever done, even though they came over, look, you know, which is fine. I would have done the same. But the back there, that is a fortress, is what he's building. That is not to stop somebody from looking. He's afraid of something. So anyways, it's disgrace. It's ugly, and it shouldn't be there, and it violates the code.
All right, thank you.
Any further public comment?
You want to respond to him?
Well, to you, from his comment.
Okay.
Step forward.
I'll remove the first tree. That'll help the line of sight. And he takes camera in the back.
Oh, if you're talking about like horse trading here, you gotta work that out.
Separately, we're not here to
Yeah, we're
mediate
not-
that. We're here on the variance. Do you want to respond to his comment on the variance?
Well, no.
All right, once we're off the record, I'm happy to sit up here and try to help you folks navigate through this, but we've got a code enforcement officer who's gonna have to type up every word that was said here tonight. I want to get this record closed with everyone's comments on the topics we're addressing only, okay? You have a reply to what he said?
Yes, because throughout the evening, he has brought up mentioning about this camera. And yes, it was, I don't want to use the word, in quotes, spy, but he inferred that we're suspicious of him, that it was an accusation, that he's going to go out there and do something with these poles. That's why I had to put it up. That's spying on someone. That is a false accusation, because Tony did none of it.
What does that have to do with the 6-foot height requirement? That's what we're here.
Because the camera is up there. That's another reason those trees and everything added was to deter their vision of us.
Okay, we got that.
The poles are on
That
the other
makes
side of that tree. However, he's admitted that they're up there to watch Tony. He's admitted to that.
Okay.
How would you feel hearing that? It's an
Okay.
admittance.
Okay,
Think about it. You're an attorney, think about it.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to, again, for this final one, I'm going to read the criteria, the questions, and the answers given. Number one, will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties be created by granting of the area variance? You wrote no, I'd say yes. Can the benefits sought by you, the applicant, be achieved by some other method other than an area variance? You wrote no, I'd say yes. Third, is the requested area variance substantial? You wrote no, I would say yes. Fourth, will the proposed area variance have an adverse effect or impact the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? You wrote no, I would say again yes. Fifth, is the alleged difficulty self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the requested area variance? You wrote yes, and that's true. And last, what is the minimum area variance deemed necessary and adequate? You wrote 2 feet, and that is accurate. So with that said, does one of my fellow board members, like to put forth a motion to grant or deny this variance as presented?
I'll put forward a motion to deny the variance as requested.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by member Sprata, seconded by member Yarbrough to deny. A yes vote would be to deny. Roll call vote, please.
Member Yarbrough.
Yes.
Member Sprata.
Yes.
Member Menard.
Yes.
Acting Chairman Delaney.
Yes.
4 yes, variance denied.
Motion to close the hearing?
Make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion by member Menard, seconded by member Sprata. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing closed.